Hey, good afternoon, guys. Today we are going to learn the concept of internal rate of return. So, NPV, I am assuming that you already know. NPV means net present value, that is total present value of cash inflow minus present value of cash outflows. So, internal rate of return is simply the rate at which the NPV for that particular project becomes zero, that is nil. So for finding out IRR, we need to calculate NPV of the that project with two rates. Uh, One is lower rate, which is normally taken as 10%, at which rate the NPV of that project will be positive, and one is higher rate, which I normally take as 20%, at which the NPV of that project will become negative. So normally most of the projects NPV lies between 10% to 20%. So if it is higher, then you will have to take the higher rate higher than 20%. All right. So you need to find out two rates, one at which the NPV of that project is positive, and at the another rate at which the NPV of that project is negative. So let us take one example. So here, this Vedavyas Limited is considering two projects, M and N, and the finance director thinks that the project with higher NPV should be selected, uh, whereas the managing director thinks that the one with higher IRR should be selected. Both projects have same life, same cash outflows, 4 lakh, 4 lakh, and their cash inflows is given here. So for this example, we will consider project M only to understand the concept of internal rate of return. I have already calculated the NPV of this project at 10% discounting rate and 20% discounting rate to so that we the calculations are easy. So for at the rate of 10%, the NPV of project M, this project, is 58,260. All right, that is positive. And another rate, NPV of this project is negative, that is minus 38,000 at 20%. All right. So we know that NPV of this project will become zero. That is IRR of this project lies between 10% and 20%. So how to calculate IRR after this? So IRR formula is lower rate plus NPV at lower rate divided by NPV at lower rate minus NPV at higher rate multiplied by rate difference between higher rate and lower rate. So let us calculate further. IRR is equal to, for project M, lower rate is 10% plus NPV at lower rate is 58,260 divided by NPV at lower rate 58,260 minus NPV at lower at higher rate, that is minus 38,000, right, multiplied by 10%. 10%, that is the difference between higher rate and lower rate. Let me draw it again so that there is no confusion. 10%. Okay. Yeah. So 10% plus 58,260. 58,260 plus 3850, how much is that? That is 36,000, that is 96,310. All right. So 96,310 multiplied by 10%. So when we divide 58,260 with 96,310 and multiplied by 10%, then it becomes 6.04%. As you can see here, 58,250 divided by 96,310 into 10, that is 6.04%. So our IRR is, let us take 6.05 because it is 6.048%. So your IRR for project M is 16.05%. All right. So this is how we calculate IRR. This is the formula and this is how we calculate IRR. So how to use this for project evaluation? So if your IRR, internal rate of return, is more than your weighted average cost of capital, that is your hurdle rate, then you select the project. So in this case, they already mentioned in the example that our cost, that is cost of capital, that is weighted average cost of capital, is 10%. So we can select this project 16 at 16%. That means project will give us more return than our requirement. All right. If internal rate of return is lower than your weighted average cost of capital, then we reject the project. All right. So I hope you understood this concept. Thank you for listening.